what's up? This is Roger Bong from Aloha Got Soul. You're in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I'm about to show you some records and a few things about digging here in Hawaii. I've been digging for Hawaiian records for a couple years now. Digging in Hawaii is unique because you can come across all these records that you can't find anywhere else, and they have this Hawaiian sound, and they're accessible to everybody. One of my favorites is this one right here. Check out the back. So this was a duo, a guy and a girl, playing acoustic bass, acoustic guitar, singing. They did some covers, but the title track, Catching a Wave, is incredible. It's a great mix of kind of Hawaiian melodies with some jazzy influences. If you pick this up, you would immediately know that it's from Hawaii, you know? Chucky Boy Chalk and Oahu Brand, one of my other favorite records. Chucky Boy does such a great job of blending all of these different types of sounds and genres and creating his own unique sound that I think can only be made by someone who lives here and has a background in traditional Hawaiian music, jazz music, living in the country by the mountainside. It's solid from the start all the way to the end. Nature. A lot of people hit me up through the website to find out like where's the record shops in Hawaii, where can you go digging on the island. On Oahu you have places like Jellies, places like Hungry Ear. Hungry Ear's been around, they're the oldest record store on the island. They've been around for a couple decades now. Hungry is cool. You can stop in, chat with the owners, Denny and Ward, have a conversation about any type of music. When I go in, they know that I want to talk about Hawaiian music, but you can talk to them about anything from like Pearl Jam to jazz music to stuff coming out nowadays. And then there's places like Jellies, which is where I got this. Jellies is cool because you never know what's going to come into that store. Like, the guy who runs the music department, Norm, he's constantly buying new records, used records. There's actually two locations for Jellies. The store here in Honolulu, and then there's the store in Aiea. The local section is always worth picking through, because just the other day I found this, and this is one of my most recent favorites. Society of 7. They're still performing in Las Vegas, if that gives you an idea of where they're at. In terms of albums by Society of 7, there's only a handful that are actually worth listening to, in my opinion, and this is definitely one of them. Zaf and Mark Taylor put out this song on their Americana comp.
My love reached out for you, and you felt it too.
You can find records at the record shops, but of course you can find records at the thrift stores.
Hello, we found love. Yeah, we found.
And this one specifically, this record, I found at the thrift shop, and it was my biggest find last year. It's by a group called Just in Time. A Life in a Day is the album title. I found this sealed in a thrift shop way out in the country. It was probably 25 cents. It looked like some kind of ambient music from the West Coast, but it turned out to be recorded live at University of Hawaii in 1979. It's jazz, it's funk, it's fusion, it's all over the place. There's even a spoken word track. Each song is about a feeling or sensation or an experience that we have in our lifetimes. And that's why the album's called A Life in a Day. You could drop the needle anywhere on this record and there's an outstanding track. guess I've found that there's a community that revolves around vinyl. So you have places like Audio Lab, where the gentlemen who run that shop carry high-end, high-fidelity turntables, equipment, cables, cords, preamps, 2 amps. And then you have places like Secret Record Shop. Secret Record Store is cool because they'll go to different events throughout the month, throughout the year, and provide exposure to records to people who might not normally have the awareness that vinyl is out there. Where I am now is that I'm meeting all these people and making all these connections and making great friendships at the same time. But where it all really started was with this record right here. And this record is one of my absolute favorites. It's by the guy who was the front man for a group called Kalapana, and they were the biggest group in the 70s. But he did some solo work, and this is his first solo album. What this also represents for me is kind of a rediscovery of something. Because when I first started collecting records, a friend of mine let me borrow this, and I listened to it like crazy without knowing that this was a Hawaiian record, you know. And then years down the line, I heard it again in a mixtape, and I was like, whoa, what is this? I know this. This is crazy. So I dug it back up and found out that this was made in Hawaii, and so were tons of other records that sound as good as this does. This started it all for me. It's not just the music, it's the representation of where I am now.